Yeah, man. Thank you so much, Maxi. I really, really appreciate your time. This stuff is always hard when you're talking to filmmakers and producers from different countries because we're all on different time schedules and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
where are you located, if you don't mind me asking?
Right now, I'm in Montevideo, Uruguay. You
Uruguay.
know,
Okay.
Uruguay. I used to be just not so long ago. I was in Spain, and
Okay.
I'm planning to go to Spain uh, very very near in the future. But right, yeah, this is where the movie takes place. This is my hometown,
Uh-huh.
Montevideo, Uruguay.
Yeah. So I always have to ask because I'm a big football fan and I enjoy players from all over the world, and I'm a Edson Cavani fan. So like when I found out you were a director from Uruguay, I was curious on, do you follow football? Are you a football fan at all?
I do like football, and yeah, I love just watching, especially the World Cup
Yeah.
mostly. But I like football. I'm from Peñarol, you know
Okay.
Peñarol,
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I've heard of that before.
and yeah, and I played when I was a kid, and then I also played American football
Oh, okay. Yeah.
because I lived in New York.
Okay.
Yeah, when I was in high school.
Oh, okay. That's right, man. So you've been all over the place.
A little bit, a little bit. I lived there for like a year or something, and I finished high school there, and I sort of like did the an exchange thing.
Mm-hmm.
I lived
Mm-hmm.
in Holland, so
And
yeah, I never I there I just drew bicycles. It's a long time since I play football
yeah.
or anything.
Yeah.
I just I just ride bicycles
Mm-hmm.
and run and or I run very little, but
Yeah.
yeah.
That's crazy. So the fact that you said that you stayed a short time in New York to me
Yeah.
is great because when I saw Red Screening, like the minute the film started, I instantly thought about all those movies that I used to watch as a little kid that I wasn't supposed to watch that
Yeah.
were like the New York theaters. There were
Yeah.
porno movies going on there. It's those old school 42nd Street theaters. Like that's like one of the main things I thought about the first time I saw like the initial minutes of
It
the film.
has a very dirty 80s New York vibe
Big
to it.
time, big time,
It's
big time.
a big inspiration, and the fact that the movie takes place in the theater that I went when I was a kid
Oh
here
wow.
in the city, right? And this is the city center, but the which hasn't changed much
Okay.
because Montevideo is kind of like a vintage sort of 70s
Okay.
retro
Okay.
that kind of stay like the same
They're
forever.
good where they at. They didn't need to do anything more. They were fine.
We changed the cars and
Right.
everything. And we had to change the all the billboards and all those things. But it was in the back of my head always New York because of the movie I watched when I was a kid. The first movie I watched on those theaters
Yeah.
was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was very New Yorky, dirty,
Go ninja, go. Yeah, dude.
and the character of the kid sort of it's a bit like it's kind of like supposed to be me as a kid or
Yeah.
something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, for sure.
It's a
Yeah,
little-
man. Like so. Okay, so we're gonna get into Red Screening, man, because there's a lot of stuff that I want to talk about. I enjoyed the film like wholeheartedly because it's just like I said. The minute the movie started, it took me to two different places, and I wrote about this in the review that posted this morning, which was that 42nd Street Theater, and then being a kid who also had an affinity for the classic Italian giallo films that
Yeah.
you know the who done it, you don't know who the killer is, and it's the gore and all that stuff. But we're gonna get into that. But before we do, I feel like it's very, very important in this time period to, like, even if you just meet somebody for the first time, to check in on them and see how you're doing up here with, you know, this pandemic going on, because it is affecting everybody across the globe.
Yeah.
And, you know, and for people who are trying to put movies out and trying to get their films sold, like, I'm very curious to how you're doing, if you're good, if your family's good, and how's everybody?
Well, thanks so much for asking. I'm okay. I had to admit I'm okay. But it's weird. It is a weird time, right? Yeah, it's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of what the hell, and of course I was with this movie. I mean the the whole I guess the whole planning of movement of the movie and changed completely.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it's okay. I mean, my plans sort of just delayed for a year at this moment. I don't know what the hell is gonna happen on the next 3 months, and I think everybody is like that in that mindset.
Yeah.
But that's what happened with me. I sort of had to hold for a year my plan, and I guess we did. We were kind of lucky with the locally, because here the pandemic was a little bit more. I mean, it's a small country, so it was a little more controlled,
a little bit more contained. Yeah.
Contained, and the theaters were able to open like 6 months later.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's good.
We did a premiere commercially here.
And you actually had people that were able to come watch it? Oh,
And we premiered theaters, and it was the first movie from here to premiere and to reopen.
Yeah.
That's kind of symbolic and very weird. I had to go out with the mask and reopen the theaters. So with the whole thing that happens in the movie, sort of connected.
Mm-hmm.
The movie connected with this year in a predestined. How you say it? Like it was, destined in a way, or we connected with what's happening, mirroring the thing.
It's almost like fate brought that time together with the premiere of the film.
It's about the death of those cinemas.
Yeah, man. Yeah, which I think is important when you make a movie like Red Screening. It's very, very important that I think the younger generation understands that this was a very, very prominent time in the movie landscape, in the cinema landscape, because you know, you did have a lot of these old opera theater style houses with balconies and stuff like that. And everyone remembers being those little kids going to the movies on the Saturday mornings and having cartoons before the movies and, you know, meeting with your family and friends. And I think now in this, you know, kind of digital world where we're all on our phones, and, you know, half of the movies that we watch now, we're watching them on laptops or tablets and stuff. I think that time frame can get lost very, very easily. So I think it's like very commendable for you guys to just bring in this time period, you know, within the last 2 years, to say, hey man, let's not forget like where we came from and where we started, because I think you need to keep that relevant in horror.
Yeah, it feels good to, I think for me was the main reason of the movie was recapturing that period.
Yeah.
Because because the inspiration was the theater. Yeah. I was shooting a commercial years ago. I was shooting a commercial there on that theater, and I went like, well, we need to do something with this, because it was already, almost closed at this time. It was taken by we have a Cinemateca here, which is like a Cinematheque, you know? Mm-hmm. We have like a local organization that is a cinema club.
Okay.
And it was for a very long time, that theater was one of those from that club. But it was very, abandoned, I guess, with no funds, and really shitty projections, and now those guys were helped here by the government, which is amazing.
That's
Because
great.
I see a ton of movies there. I learn a lot,
Yeah.
everything, and they have a new place with new theaters, and that this theater, this location was we had it. We were able to shoot because we rented it.
Yeah.
We rented the whole place. So yeah, what I was saying is that the inspiration was the place,
Yeah.
and that time as the main reason for the movie.
Right.
From there, we took it from there. Then it became, okay, let's do a horror because it feels like this place calls for something like that.
You either do a horror movie or a porno movie, and I don't think you would.
Yeah, exactly.
You wouldn't have been able to put out the porn that well. Like that's that's really taken over on the internet market over there. So that probably wouldn't have been a good idea.
Well, yeah, it's another movie, I guess.
Yeah. But the great thing though is like you like what you know, I'm not going to spoil anything on the film, but you guys do bring in that sleazy, somebody's watching something that they shouldn't be watching, and then with the couple that's in the,
and the things that the characters do is a little bit, it has a little I guess it's a little cheesy of those things, of those sleazy.
Yeah, for sure. But it works though with the entire setting of the theater and everything else.
You get the I think the other thing that sort of changes the tone and makes it feel a little more like a fantasy and fable is the presence of the kid, because that levels it up.
Yep, big time. I think we all remember wanting to be the kid that stays for the bad movie, or we actually got a chance to sneak in the first movie. I remember the first movie I snuck in was Boys in the Hood. Like Boys in the Hood, like I was 10 years old. I was not allowed to go in there. And my cousin and I, we did one of the, you pay for the ticket for the little kid movie, and then you run over to the door where the big movie was. So I totally like resonated with that kid the minute I saw him in the film. So let's talk about like the inception of the characters. Like, one of the great things about Red Screening is there's movies within the movie. There's all these little stories going on with the collective of characters. Even, the original like old guy who's yelling and cussing as he walks out of the theater, it's like there's this collection of characters. Like, how did that all come to be? What made you think of putting that all together with the characters in the film?
Well, the thing is, because the inspiration was the theater, we started thinking. I did it with a script writer friend, and we started thinking about archetypal characters from a theater.
Right.
Let's just make it very classical, very classy, because the theater is very, sort of like the old, a little, I guess, glamorous. So it's like a decadent glam. And sort of we started thinking, okay, we need to have a couple. We need to have this, I guess, 90s couple, 80s, 90s couple, very, very, I think archetypal.
Yeah.
But and a little bit of humor there too, like
for sure.
a comedic or a little black humor or a little grotesque aspect to it too.
Yeah.
Like, for me, I conceive it as like a horror fable. I like the characters to be very iconic in a way, comic-y.
Yeah.
Like a comic.
Yeah. Yeah, I like how you said fable, because I think when you watch the film, there is a surrealism that happens where you are placed in the theater with the characters. The movie is hilarious that they're watching, and I think that's another thing that's great too, is like you guys didn't forget that there's a movie going on the entire time. So it really truly allows people to get the entire experience of what it would have been like. Now, when it comes to the killer, it's one of the things that I really enjoyed, because that's what brought the whole giallo aspect to me. And it wasn't just necessarily that you didn't know who the killer was, why they were there, what the course of description. It was because of all that stuff. You didn't know who it was. You didn't know why they were there, but just the carnage and the style and the reference to olives, like, and you know, in the olive jar and all that stuff. Like, that to me, that stuff is just great, because it allowed even the killer to have their own movie within the movie too. So just like the characters had their own story, it seemed like you really, really wanted to make sure people got an idea of how like sadistic this killer was. Is that true to say?
Yeah, it is. And also it's in a sort of way is like the giallo MacGuffin or mystery. It's a mystery,
yeah,
in its own. And in this particular story, you don't need to know more, because it's not about that. Mm-hmm. If you expand the universe, okay, we can tell what's all that about.
Right.
This movie is it combines a more symbolic aspect to it.
For sure.
You play it in a symbolic way.
For
but
sure.
Yeah, it came from that. It came very inspired in the classic Giallo, Mario Bava. Mm-hmm. Fulci, of mm-hmm. course, Argento, and all those guys.
Right.
In this visually stylistic way, visually poetic way.
Yes, for sure.
But then there's another aspect to it.
Yeah.
But I'll tell. Well, you can ask me another one, and then I explain.
So talk to us about the cast, and how was it to work with them? How were they with, you know, I mean, because I think you have to have a certain mind frame when you're in a film like this. So how was it working with the cast? How did they do? How did you enjoy working with those guys and girls?
Well, it was I was kind of lucky. I think I sort of managed to convey a good cast. I was very, very pleased with it. Mm-hmm. Especially, well, one part of it came from just in script development. I just searching around with colleague filmmakers, and I found Luciana Grasso, which is the main character.
Yep.
So I didn't do casting with her. I found her from another movie from Argentina, and then the other thing was the little kid and the teenage girl Julieta came from casting properly. The rest where I found in the casting call we did, they did a really good job.
That's awesome.
Especially Julieta sent the video, and it was really good, and also the kid Franco. Mm-hmm. But the particular one is the one that I wanted to tell you about, is the killer.
Yeah.
The killer. I was reading the script, and it came to me. This has to be, and it's Ricardo Islas. Ricardo Islas is the pioneer filmmaker from horror from here locally.
Really?
And the movie that is projected is one of his movies. He directed.
That's awesome.
He's working. He went from Uruguay to. He's in Chicago for a long time. For 20 years, he left in the 90s.
Okay.
At the end of the 90s, but he did horror movies in the 90s.
Yeah.
It was the only guy, the only one, a complete anomaly, and has a great filmography. And it came to me that it was him. It had to be him. It was because he acts in all his movies and he's great. So he loved the project. So that's some sort of cinephile subtext to the whole thing.
Yeah, big time, man. I mean, it's like I think a lot of filmmakers and producers are excited. Like, I just got finished interviewing one of the producers from one of the other films that's premiering at GRIMMFEST this weekend. And, it's the anthology December movie. And it's, the list of the directors and the names, like Isaac Espon, like all these people are just so great. But for you, it's like, you're not just working with someone who's significant in horror, period. You're working with somebody who's significant for your culture, from your hometown, your neck of the woods, like your people, like, and to have that's like, I don't know, man. It's like having Michael Jordan playing basketball with you or something, you know? Like,
horror and from Uruguay and
yeah,
from this area. It's sort of like a big homage and in a way a nod. You know, a notch. You say how you say
yeah, nod,
a nod. Sorry.
yep, you're good.
And and also remembering, right?
Yeah.
Just to bring it back, sort of way too. But and he was amazing. He loved the project and went on with it. And he was like, he arrived. He came from Chicago, and he arrived, and about 14, 13 hours later, we were doing a shot like.
That's great.
It's like he went straight to shooting the movie and being the killer.
So what's one of the things that I always like to ask all the filmmakers is, you know, and it's very tough now because we don't have, you know, you guys were blessed to be able to have a premiere with the audience, but so many films right now, they're not having live audiences. Everybody's watching them on, you know, on demand or on some virtual screening. Like, but I'm always curious, like when people see Red Screening, like what's something that you hope that they take from the film that will sit in their head for a while after they see the film, that will keep them talking about it and keep that buzz and awareness about the film? What's something about the film that you really, really would like to see people take from it?
Well, obviously, because of the times and everything, there's an aspect that they pointed out in a festival in Germany. They pointed out that it's a movie that is always obviously is made for watching in a theater because it will have an amazing kind of House of Mirrors play out,
for sure,
which other movies already have done. This is like a subgenre in film. It's a House of Mirrors. But the thing is, at this time, this movie brings theaters to our homes.
Yeah, exactly.
That's more relevant than the other one.
Yeah.
At this point. Mm-hmm. So I think that what I would love people to take on is how cool also is theaters in a way, or just how nice as a social experience.
Yeah, yeah.
And we should keep that in mind, and we should sort of try to preserve it, sort of like, in a way, it's going to be, you know, cinema is going to be part of the museum. Yeah. But it's good to have it as part of a big part of it, just to keep it in mind.
Like, I don't know if this happened.
It already changed. The world changed.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if you guys have drive-ins down there, drive-in movie theaters? Okay.
Well, they came back with the pandemic.
Exactly. Like, I think like that was one of the things that as a film fan, like I thought was kind of a silver lining during this whole pandemic, was that we were able to return back to drive-in theaters, because that was another thing other than the inside theaters. The drive-in theaters were a big part of my childhood growing up. And I love the fact that you said a film like Red Screening is allowing you to bring the film back into like the theaters to you instead, because I think, like we were saying earlier, that is something that with all this technology, with all this other stuff that's out there, people can forget this nostalgia that is very, very prominent in the genre world. And I think Red Screening touches on so many parts of just the culture, like that, what I like to call that late night movie culture. And the fact that it was a late night screening in the movie, like it just all resonated so much, because those are the fans that, in my opinion, kept the horror movies going when a lot of people stopped watching. You know what I mean? Like when you know, everyone remembers the big pop in the 80s with Freddy and Jason and all that stuff. But people forget that there were films that people were still watching from the 70s and like exploitation movies and stuff like that. And theaters like the one you show in Red Screening were the types of theaters that were still showing those movies. So it's nice to see that you guys were able to just kind of preserve a theater that's important to you and your home, but then also remind the rest of the world that these theaters were out there and they do have a right to be missed, because there was a lot of good stuff that was going through those theaters.
Exactly. And this theater is no longer, I mean, it doesn't exist anymore. The one we thought. So it was a way to keep it in memory.
Yep. And now people can see this theater for as long as they want to, with Red Screening being out there. Well, Maxi, man, look, I'm not going to take up any more of your time because this has been fantastic. I personally enjoyed the hell out of this movie. One of the things that I tell people as a guy who watches, 4 to 5 horror movies a week, sometimes I just want to be entertained more than anything. And with all the levels that we can find in Red Screening, one of the things that I know first and foremost is that it's a very entertaining movie from start to finish. I mean, the initial shot of the killer walking up the stairs with all the kids leaving, the family movie as it's ending, like it just continued on in such a great way after that. So I really enjoyed the film, and I'm so glad you guys were able to get this out here. And I think everybody will definitely enjoy it when they see it at GRIMMFest. So much success to you guys.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
No problem. You got holiday, Christmas stuff going on? Like what's going on with you guys holiday wise down there?
Well, it got tricky because cases started to go up. Just now they went double, and they started like closing down and restricting things.
Yeah.
But I think we celebrate, and I guess celebration will happen indoors mostly.
Yeah.
Very little, and it's summer here, so people want to go out to the nature as much as possible. So the city is very quiet, and I'm planning just going out a little bit and just enjoy nature.
Yeah, for sure. That's all we can do. But another thing we can do is come home and enjoy your film. So I can't wait to see more news about Red Screening when it's getting put out. Are you already you have someone set up for it to be sold and put out on VOD and all that stuff? Do you have that already taken care of?
We have a distribution, Real Suspects. They are from
for sure.
Yeah. And they are they're doing good job. We're very good with them, just working on distribution.
Yep.
We got a few deals already, but Germany, I think, and the US is working on it. We have one there, but I know I had to talk to them, but they're moving it around.
Good. Well, I can't wait for people to see the film. I know personally, just a huge group of people that are going to really enjoy seeing it, because it's going to put them in that same mind frame that I was in. So once again, Maxi, man, really appreciate it. Red Screening was great, and I'm looking forward to everything else coming from you in the future, man. We'll be definitely paying attention.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
So you have a good rest of your day, good holiday season, and we'll talk again soon in the future, okay?
Thank you so much, and good holidays over there for you too and everyone.
All right, brother.